friends, it's Scott from Plot River Keto. If you're new to my channel, welcome. On my channel, you get to come along for the ride on my keto journey. I check in with you once a week to update you on my keto progress and try to check in with you at least one other time during the week, usually to share something that I've discovered about the ketogenic lifestyle, but occasionally to share a little something that I've discovered about this journey that we call life. Today is Saturday, December 9th. Which means that it's a check-in day. Also, for those of you who have been waiting very excitedly, especially since Miriam mentioned it in the Keto Chow Live on Tuesday, I think, Liz and I are planning on recording the video demo of the Keto Chow peppermint chocolate cookies today. And if we can get that all edited today, we will get that posted today as well. So for those of you who are hoping that that was what this video is, sorry for your disappointment, but hopefully that's coming soon. Today I wanted to check in with you on my goals that I have for this month. For those of you who've been following along on my journey, you know that a week ago today, I stepped back onto the scale for the first time since the end of July. And of course, it was a pretty disappointing number. And so I set some goals. Definitely had a reset for myself. For those of you who like to watch my short videos, some of what I share with you today might be a little bit of a repeat. But I know that at least a few of you have mentioned that you don't really watch shorts or don't follow along with the shorts. So I wanted you to be also in the know, so to speak, on my progress from this week. So again, if I repeat a couple of things, for those of you who watch my shorts, thank you, and hope you enjoy it just as much the second time. So for those of you who have not been following along or did not watch last week, started my keto journey a little over almost 2.5 years ago. 2 years and 4 months, I think, is where we're at. At 475 pounds, I had gotten down to 294 about a year ago, and for the last year have kind of gained and lost the same 25 to 30 pounds a couple of times. Gained it during tax season, lost it during the summer, gained it back over the fall, and that was kind of where we stood last week. Last week I weighed in at 331.8. I am going to talk about my relationship with Earth's gravity, but first I kind of want to talk about my goals and what has kind of happened this week, and then I will share my updated relationship with Earth's gravity, and yeah, that's my update for today. So, as I mentioned to you guys last week, I was kind of resetting because I had really been inconsistent, and that was really the biggest thing. If I could share with you one thing that I found that has been, as I've thought about it this week, as I've been resetting this week, it was simply a lack of consistency. And I know that I mentioned that in my video last week, but a lack of consistency that I've had over the last 4 months. And a fascinating thing that I found this week is that the difference between consistency and inconsistency is accountability. And whether that's accountability with a YouTube channel, like what I'm sharing with you, or whether it's an accountability buddy, or posting on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, or literally if you have a piece of paper that you've written down, you know, what it is that you're going to do and you check that box off or you don't check that box off, having some kind of accountability is the difference between being consistent with anything and not being consistent with it. I really found that this week. So to share with you kind of what I mean by that, there were a couple of times this week, particularly I think it was Thursday morning, Wednesday a little bit too, but definitely Thursday morning. I was like, it was one of those mornings where it was like, it was cold in the house and I was snuggled up in my blanket and I just didn't want to get up. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not what you'd call a traditional morning person, but there are mornings where when the alarm goes off when I wake up, it's like, oh, I'm awake and I'm ready to go and I'm ready to go exercise or walk or go to work or whatever it is. And there are other days when that alarm goes off and you're like, oh, you've got to be kidding me, you know, and you push the snooze button and you push the snooze button again. And anyway, Thursday morning was one of those push the snooze button kind of mornings. And, you know, so as I'm like, the alarm goes off and I kind of open my eyes and roll, let's see what time it is, you know. And like there's that fleeting moment of like, am I going to just maybe sleep in today? And then immediately I thought about my accountability, both to you, who I have shared that my goal is to go out and do a walk every day and get my yoga workout in every day. And also my accountability to myself, because I set those goals for me. And while I definitely feel some accountability by coming on here to these videos and sharing them with you, I have accountability to myself. And so with a fleeting moment of like, maybe I'll sleep in, I'm like, no, I've got to be accountable to my channel, to my subscribers, and I got to be accountable to myself. Ultimately, I'm accountable to myself. And so I got up and I got my walk in and I did my yoga workout. Later that evening, I know I had mentioned to you guys from a nutrition standpoint that I set my goal to eat OMAD today. OMAD this week and this month, which stands for 1 meal a day. So and it's not so much one meal as it is like a very short eating window. So my eating window for this week has really been 1 to 2 hours, 2 hours at the most. And it was on Thursday evening, actually. I had eaten in my window, and then where did we go? We went to some activity. I'm trying to think what it was now. I can't remember. But anyway, we got home. Oh, I know what it was. My wife actually had book club. And so my daughter and I went Christmas shopping for my wife, and then I went and picked her up from her book club. And when she got home from her book club, it was like 8:30, between 8:30 and 9. And so I was done eating for the day. And I, again, had that fleeting moment where I'm like, I could eat something. I'd probably be okay. I could have a snack or whatever. And again, the accountability piece, both in sharing with you and the accountability piece, being accountable to myself, I said, no, my eating window is closed. And while I could eat something, I'm not really hungry. I had enough to eat. I ate sufficient nutrition for the day. I had enough protein. I had enough fat. And so I was good for the day. I was just kind of feeling one of those kind of emotional things, and not a bad emotion. It had been a great fun evening. I had a great time shopping for my wife with my daughter, and going and picking up my wife wasn't complicated or hard, but there was just a little component that was like, a snack might be nice. And because of the accountability piece, because of both sharing with you what my goals were for this month, and the fact that I had written them down and I was accountable to myself, I was able to stay on track. And so it's not as if we're dealing with any new ground here. We've certainly talked about that plenty of times over the last 2.5 years. But it was a good reminder for me that really the difference between consistency and inconsistency is accountability. And that has allowed me to be very successful this week. So I kind of already talked about it a little bit, but to tick off my goals for you, I had a goal to get my walks in every day this week and get my DDPY workouts in every day this week. And then from a nutrition standpoint, to definitely eat keto, focus on my meat, keeping my carbs to under 20 grams a day, but I don't really measure that. I just make sure that I don't really eat anything that has much of any carbs in it. And to eat within that 1 to 2 hour window OMAD. So I got my walks in every day this week. I was 7 for 7. Got my DDPY workouts in every day this week. I was 7 for 7. And then as far as OMAD goes, on Sunday, I was not technically OMAD. I ended up eating really kind of 2 meals on Sunday. But every other day this week, I ate within inside of that 1 to 2 hour window. And Sunday was really more of a... our Sunday dinner was kind of ready a little bit early. And so then I ended up having a keto chow shake kind of in the evening to finish things off for the day for me. But so overall, guys, fantastic. Back on track. Feeling a lot better. I wasn't feeling like really bad, but I could definitely tell that I was a little bit, had a little bit of inflammation. I was retaining some water, and so I can definitely feel a difference. I feel a lot better. And, I just feel better when I have systems and a plan in place, and I'm working my plan. I just feel better when I do that. Before I share my relationship with Earth's gravity, the one other thing that I wanted to share with you guys is as it relates to OMAD. I actually posted a video at the beginning of this week. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember for sure. A short video where I talked about how resetting is hard, and that I'd almost forgotten how hard it kind of was when I started on keto. And I did have a person comment that it was probably because I wasn't fat adapted yet, and that I should probably do that and it would be easier. And not that I necessarily completely disagree with that point of view, but one of the reasons that I've done OMAD is that I appreciate keto foods a lot more when I'm hungry. And that's not to say that keto doesn't have some delicious food, because it absolutely does. I mean, hello, a steak is delicious. Anybody thinks a steak is delicious. Well, almost everybody thinks a steak is delicious. And if that's a keto food. But to sit down and eat a bowl of ground beef, if I was in my, as of a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever, my inconsistent keto where I was probably snacking too much and eating too much, to sit down and just eat a bowl of ground beef with salt and pepper on it would probably not be that appealing, because I wasn't all that hungry. But man, when you are eating OMAD, 1 meal a day, and you have basically fasted for 23 hours, your body's like, yeah, I want some food. I want some protein. I want some fat. And that ground beef just by itself is delicious. And quite frankly, that's one of the things that I have enjoyed about doing OMAD this week, is that when I get truly hungry, I really enjoy good food, and I look forward to having it. Particularly during like a holiday like Thanksgiving or something, when you kind of have food all day. Even though we've made a lot of fun things, like you make a keto treat, like some sort of a pumpkin dessert, or whatever it might be, it doesn't taste quite as good because you're not really hungry, because you've kind of been eating all day. And so that's one of the things that I've really appreciated about OMAD this week, is the food has been so good, mostly because I'm hungry. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. And like I said, to that person who left the comment, I can't remember. I want to say her name is Brenda, but I might be totally off on that. I might be thinking of somebody else. But I appreciate your comment. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I wanted to do a kind of a quicker reset for me, which made it a little bit harder possibly, but that was what I wanted to do. But I always appreciate your comments, guys, and I appreciate what you have to say. I may not 100% agree with everything that you say, but that doesn't mean that we can't still be friends, and that I don't still appreciate your perspective, because getting the perspectives of other people, especially those of you who are following this lifestyle as well, sometimes helps me think of things that I've forgotten. A case in point, actually, is Liz and I are getting ready, to, as I mentioned earlier, to make a recipe today. And Miriam from Keto Chow, we were looking for a good, like, sugar-free peppermint, and we had found one, like Brock's, and it technically doesn't have sugar in it, but I didn't love the ingredients that were in it, but we hadn't found a real good substitute for peppermint. And Miriam just talked about these things called ice chips on their live video, on Keto Chow's live video on, I believe it was Tuesday evening. And like, that's awesome. I so appreciate that, and I didn't have that information. And that same is true with you guys in your comments. And even the comment that I received that I didn't 100% agree with, like, I appreciated that perspective to remind me that yes, you can kind of slowly ease back into it, and maybe it's not quite as hard as I kind of made it out to be, because I was kind of trying to go cold turkey with it and jump right back in. And so I made it a little bit harder than I needed to on myself, but it was what I wanted to do. But that's a long-winded way of saying I appreciate your comments. Even if I don't 100% agree with it, or I'm not going to necessarily do what you've said, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time to let me know your thoughts and feelings on it. So thank you so much. So last thing, it would be my relationship with Earth's gravity. Again, as I mentioned, I weighed in last week at 331.8. My goal for this month was to lose 10 pounds. And as my wife kind of chuckled today as I got on the scale, as I mentioned to you guys, I had a feeling that I was maybe retaining some water because of some inflammation. I'm down 11.2 pounds this week. So I was 331.8 last week. I am 320.6 this week, down 11.2 pounds. So yay. Obviously, not all of that is fat. A lot of that is water. And I'm grateful to have that gone. Regardless of whether or not it's fat, I'm grateful to have that gone and to be headed back in the right direction. Do I expect to lose another 10 pounds this week? I do not. I think now that I've had that initial kind of getting rid of that extra inflammation, water weight, 1 to 2 pounds is probably realistic. So another 5 or 6 pounds would be fantastic. If I could get down to maybe 315 by the end of this year, by that last week of December, that would be kind of my new goal. But yay for being down 11.2 pounds. My wife joked, she's like, so you weren't really, hadn't really gained as much weight as you thought. And I corrected her, not because she was wrong, but I said, so I haven't really gained as much fat as I thought. Because clearly I was retaining that weight and that water. And if I did not do what I did this week, I would still be retaining that weight and that water. But I hadn't gained as much fat as I had possibly feared in the last 4 months. And so I am grateful to be headed back in the right direction. And that puts me down 155 pounds again overall. So I'm very happy about that. And yeah, that's my update for this week. Hopefully Liz and I will get this video for the Keto Chow peppermint chocolate cookies recorded and edited and out to you sometime today. But day by day, keep calm and keto on, my friends. We'll check in with you again soon.